Hey, good evening, everybody. Hey, I just seen Gene chimed in. Haven't heard from him for a while. Good to have everybody with us. How
Hey,
you doing
Gene.
tonight, Mike?
Doing good. Mike's a little better this time. I
I
think
think,
I'm
yeah,
on the right mic this
I,
time. That's right.
I think we figured it out
I
finally,
think we
didn't
figured
we?
it out.
Anyway, so you know what? It was a pretty good day around here. Pretty good week. How's it been down there in the eastern side of the state?
Pretty good weather-wise. It's a windy day today, but I can't complain about the weather. Other than that, it's been good. We're gonna,
Yeah, I know we're getting ready to
I'm
move.
worried about this year. I'm wondering what we're going to have for major storms or whatever through early spring, or I should say, last part of the winter.
Yeah,
To see if I'm not sure if snow's coming. I think we're just going to have thunderstorms, and that's just going to be the way it is. So.
Gene says he's back from Arizona, and I think he was down there for a shoot, if I remember right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he was. One of these days, we got to have Gene on. If we'd have been thinking about this, Nance couldn't make it tonight. Would have been a great evening to have Gene on and
Brought Gene on, right?
talk there. Now that really sounded good, by the way. Whatever you just did there,
What
maybe
do
got
I talk
closer.
like this?
There you go. But I want to have Gene on. I tell you, Gene's knowledge of the older guns and things like that would be outstanding. So we'll work on that a little bit. You and I have been working on a new program. Basically, would help us out with our transitions and things. Even make it easier for us to have phone calls. So we'll see how we go with that. That's
Right.
been an issue we've been working on for a long, long time. So, with no ado, oh,
Okay.
JD Smith. That is Jamie now. Jamie has a new alter ego called JD Smith. Keith, good to see you there. So let's get started with our Second Amendment. A well regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
There we go.
And that's getting, we say it every show, getting
Harder
more
and harder to
important
do. Yeah.
every single day. And by the way, my voice is a little better. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was last week. I tell you what, that I was fine. I felt fine, but that little bitty cold I've been fighting, holy cow! I guess I brought
I
that
always
back
used,
forward.
when I used to travel different elevations back and forth and stuff like that, I'd get that same thing in my throat and
Yep.
my nose and all that. So, yeah.
I think it's more of a sinus infection, and then it
Yeah.
runs down there. But yeah, no one wants to hear about that crap,
No one
do
wants
they?
to hear about that. No.
So I guess we're going to get right into it, guys. First, I want to thank LAUER Auto Repair, 309 South Washington Street, 701-258-6308. LAUER Auto Repair, guys, one of the best Second Amendment repair shops in Bismarck. If you're there, if you're broke down, if you need anything, call them up. Trust me, they're the ones that can get you back on the road and get you back on the road fast, or just service your vehicle. So give them a call, 701-258-6308. So last night, if everybody didn't hear,
Super
it was
Tuesday.
Super Tuesday. And the night before that, we had the North Dakota caucuses. And no surprise in North Dakota that Trump won the caucuses. It really was no surprise to me. Low turnout, essentially, when you think about it, there's roughly 700,000 people, a little over in North Dakota, and 1,600 participated in the caucuses. Trump won big. Haley was just a blip there. Did not surprise me on that in North Dakota, but it just shows you that the process in North Dakota, especially, they only had 12 places you could participate, and only 2 in Western North Dakota. And that's the problem. I mean, for me, it's a 100-mile trip. I usually participate after being on the road as much as I've been. I said the heck with it, stayed home and did not go. But I'm telling you guys, we got to change that process. Remember, they're nonprofit, private organizations. They can do what they want. They can hold them where they want. But I
Mm-hmm.
still think that we should have them in closer towns. If you get people that want to volunteer to do it, let them do it. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? You guys don't have a caucus in South Dakota.
Well, we don't have a caucus in South Dakota, but I totally agree on that. When you disenfranchise people, anybody from being able to go and vote, I mean that's what happens. And you've got a lot of people that can't make those. Well, I'll tell you this. So, say you're older like me, 56, maybe a little bit older than me, still working. All right, you
Nope.
get off at 5, you're going to go to the polls, but you got to drive 100 miles. Then it's going to start getting dark. A lot of people don't do well at a certain age driving in the dark. I
Nope.
mean, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
On that same note, I put this in here for people to look at real quick. And so, see if it shows real quick. And
Ah.
I brought this up because I was talking about all the places that require IDs to vote, And there is a pattern here that if you notice on the nothing needed to vote, there is a pattern. If you look at some of the states that are in that. That is the more left-leaning states. Yeah, it's just like anybody. You don't need an ID. You don't need any of that.
Crazy,
We
right?
trust you, and that's the easy stuff.
But yet I need an ID to rent a motel room. I need an ID to cash a check. I need an ID to buy a gun. I mean, let's just look at all the things I need an ID for, and yet I don't need one to vote and prove that I'm a citizen. That crazy, right?
Well, you talk about a hotel. It says you can't even buy a hotel or rent a hotel now with cash. They don't want to do that at all. No, not
the
at
only
all.
way they'll do it is they'll take your cash, but you have to secure it with a
credit card.
So,
and it's the same thing. I made the mistake. Well, it was 20 years ago, but I made a mistake of flying into Sioux Falls and only had cash on me, and had to pay for my my rental car. And they don't take cash. Yeah. The problem was I was moving to South Dakota, so
right.
I actually took all my money out of my account and had it with me. So yeah, it was a cluster.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to jump into this. We had Trump versus Haley last night.
Right.
Obviously, huge win for Trump last night. It wasn't even close. And in Vermont, Haley won Vermont. Unfortunately, I know a few people out there. We got some with Rack's Adventure Team, in fact, but they have what you call an open primary. So they can run in there, the Democrats, and I think they only got a vote, kind of like North Dakota here. We don't have voter registration, only state in the United States. So when you go to the primary, you choose which party you'd like to vote in. So in a way, we kind of have an open primary, but we also have a caucus. Then the caucus is what matters, essentially. Right. So you go to Vermont, and you can go in there, and you can say, hey, give me my ballot. You get your ballot, you go, and you can vote for the Republican. You might be a diehard Democrat. And you can vote probably for the kind of like when Rush Limbaugh did Operation Chaos. Do you remember that? Hey, he said, go change parties and go screw up the Democrats' votes and vote for the person you think that would be easier to beat. I mean, it was kind of funny. But so Haley won that.
The system's there like that. So why not use it once in a while?
Yeah. I'm a Trump supporter. Mike is a Haley supporter. And we're not going to talk about, she did drop out today, but it's irrelevant. Basically, I'm gonna throw it to you, Mike, and tell me why. Just like Jamie was a DeSantis fan,
right?
Tell me why you support Haley, or tell our viewers why you're a Haley person. I mean, it's fair.
I'm an honest guy, so to tell you the honest truth, I don't trust Trump one bit to not take away our rights as soon as he gets a chance to. If anything doesn't go right for him, I think that the Democrats are openly want to go after us. I just think I grew up on the East Coast, and I grew up with Trump as the biggest con man you could ever know, and screwed out every working man that ever worked for him and did a job for him. He screwed him over, and I don't see it changing now. And it makes it hard for me. I've done the votes for him in the past. It makes it hard for me to have to throw behind him to beat the Democrats because of God. I'm done with him. But what choice do you have? That's the problem. I mean, I could just throw away my rights and just say, screw it. But, I got to hope that we do much better in our Senate and in our Congress thing. So.
701 Nation, Jamie, don't feel bad, Mike. Nasty Nicky made it farther than Ronnie D. So that's true. So, and I'm just going to, as far as I'm a Trump guy, I was not a Trump guy. You can ask Jamie about this. When he ran the first time, I was Ted Cruz all the way. Still like Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was on the ballot. I'd probably vote for him. But I really believe in true constitutionality, and I wasn't sure where Trump was going to be on that. To my pleasant surprise, Trump was better than I could ever expected as far as in his first term. And yes, he has a history. The Art of the Deal, if you haven't read it or listened to it, I highly suggest it just to see what his mindset was and what makes him tick. He's a very brash guy. Of course, he comes from New York, where you probably got to be a very brash guy. And yes, he used a lot of other people's money to build his empire, but they did it willingly, and he paid them back. As far as I don't know what he did and the deals he made as far as the intricate parts of working in that New York area. as far as workers and labor unions. Probably, who knows what has to happen out there. But his 4 years to me as president, though, Mike, and I don't know, maybe you can find stuff you didn't like, but I
That's
was
true.
pleasantly surprised. I'm telling you, I've never seen a president actually accomplish exactly what he was going to say more than that president. He
That's
didn't get it
true.
all. I
No.
mean, and he did it with a Congress that honestly, the House we owned at the time when he was elected, and you had Rhino Ryan out there stopping him every step of the way. So Trump got a lot of things done. We had the lowest unemployment. We had the biggest economy until China virus hit. And he took some really bad advice from Fauci and all them other commies. But as far as a president, I was very satisfied with his job for them 4 years, compared to a lot of other guys that I've held my nose for and voted for. So I was where I was at. I know that I'm a Trump guy because I know what he's going to do. He's going to do the same thing and probably going to do it faster now because he knows what to do. He's been there. He knows what the inner workings are. And I guarantee you, there's probably going to be a lot of people get you're fired on day one. Who knows?
Well, I know, and I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's called something 2025 from the Heritage Foundation. This is one of the big lawmakers, or I should say, the ones that write laws for the lawmakers. They've got a huge amount of things, and firing a big majority of the swamp is one of day one's things they're planning on doing.
Oh yeah,
and they are.
And they're planning on it. I knew they were working on this. They've been working on this for 2 years at least, minimum, because I had some conference calls with some people in the GOP, not necessarily those in charge, but have been working with the Trump campaign. And I just said, you know what? I don't have time to help, and I really don't. And if I can't do it good, I'm not going to commit my time. So I backed out and did not get involved this time. But that's okay. They don't need me. They got this under control. But as far as Haley goes, now we're a Second Amendment deal, right?
Right.
Why don't do you have a rundown of how Haley was on the Second Amendment?
Well, yeah, a little, but and the problem was it's a lot like what we see in the Senate right now. We see a lot of guys and girls that have an A+ rating with the NRA, but they don't really measure up, though. That's the problem. And on her, I worried about it. I worried about it her listening to the wrong people. So maybe that might have been one of the things that changed things right there. I mean, but well, it's true. Keith's right. He was hindered at every single turn and still accomplished a lot. That is something to say. Maybe mine is more of the, just.
You're probably looking at his past, and that's fair. As far as here's my concern with Haley. She came on board with Trump, right? She was an ambassador. I mean, he had her on his team.
Yeah, for the UN.
And loyalty to me is a big thing. You know that. You know how I used to run the NRA. I kind of like Trump. If I found disloyal people, what would I do to them?
You fired him.
I got rid of them. I run them out. And I don't make any apologies for that. And we saw the biggest Friends of NRA program in North and South Dakota in history now that's turning out, unfortunately. I was really hoping it would continue, but it did not. It's pretty much non-existent now.
Well, I was hoping we would be able to spread that to other states is what I was hoping. So.
Oh, you and me both. And I had my guy picked. It was you. And they didn't listen. And I know that if you'd have gotten it, Mike, we'd have saw the 2 states and beyond go way above what we ever could have imagined. But, could have, should have, would have, right?
It's water on the bridge.
But, when I look at Haley and her donors, that concerned me. A lot of them were Democrat donors or left-leaning donors. Now, Haley had some stuff where she had donated to some Democrats.
Right.
So had Trump. Trump's donated to Democrats. In fact, a lot of people have voted to Democrats if they've been in business. Okay, that's the way that works. You do that because you want people on both sides on your side. Well, let's face it.
There's one thing to say about Trump, too, on that first election in 2016 is there were a lot of Democrats that voted for him in that because they weren't going to go for the Hillary thing. And that's the way everybody was. And everybody, even if you're a diehard Republican, you went to bed thinking that he lost because, and I mean, not everybody.
You in 16?
In 16, because
I didn't, because I stayed up through the whole thing.
Well, that's the thing is that I got up at 3 o'clock back up at 3 o'clock in the morning and started drinking, and watched the Podesta fiasco that he did and everything else, and just watched them stumble. And it was an amazing thing to see. But I think that we all went into the voting booth, and that'd be Republicans and Democrats, and said, I just I can't. Trump's the only one that you can vote for in this situation. So I mean, that was just the way it was,
And that was true.
And I think that you've got a lot of Democrats now that are trying to ignore that happened. They try to ignore that he got the amount of votes that he got, and he took the states that he takes. I mean, hey, turning over Michigan blue. I mean, and then turning over all those Rust Belt places blue.
And you look at this,
turning them over red.
Those states, they're in play again. Hell, New York's in play, for criminy sakes. Minnesota's in play. When you're polling right now with the liberal polls and you're ticking above Biden, that has to be very concerning to their camp. And that's probably why he came out and he's trying to push his dribble out there that he's got a great economy and nothing's wrong here. The border's fine. I mean, did you know they're building the wall all of a sudden? Not just with that private organization, but they have all of a sudden ordered supplies, and they're going to start building sections of the wall because it pissed off a bunch of the liberals that Biden actually has ordered that now. That just happened. Well,
by the way, I got this. Speaking of the wall, I think every week I should bring up a different country that has one. We've talked about this in the past. This is Haiti and the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
The Haiti is to the south. That's the one that's all brown. And the Dominican Republic is the one that's all green above. And that is a wall.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about the Great Wall of China. I mean, that is a wall. And there's a reason why the Dominican Republic is green and lush and beautiful. And that's because there's a wall there to keep the Haitians out. And the Haitians, they have no control over their government. They have no control over their people. They have nothing, but they burn everything. And that's a good example of why things are like they are. Josh had some good statements in there.
Yeah, I just before we get to that, because he's talking about North Dakota and Kelly Armstrong, and I do have some opinions on that. Jamie brings up that he's on board with Tulsi Gabbard being Trump's VP pick. People are saying that she was a Dem not too long ago, and she was. Same as Laminate about Trump when he announced that he was running. And I can tell you this right now, I have no clue whatsoever who his VP pick is going to be. I feel it will be somebody from one of the states that's on the line that he needs to pick up, okay? Hoping that they bring votes. But in another breath, Trump has already made, he talked to John Solomon on Just the News in December and said, I don't think a VP has that much effect on your vote. I don't think it affects the election. And I think Trump believes that. Whether it's true or not, I think he does believe that. So I have no clue. I guarantee you, though, it's going to be someone who's loyal. He's not going to make any mistakes again like he did with Pence or with Haley. Trump is about loyalty. That's probably, in from everything I can tell you that I've seen with Trump, loyalty is a big, big factor with that man. And I guarantee you his VP pick is going to be someone who's loyal and who can lead in the absence that something happens to him. And remember, he's a one-termer now.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 years, we do this all over. I would have to think if it was me, I'd be wanting to pick someone that I can set up and get them ready to take the reins afterwards and with my vision.
Well, with that, I mean, you take Nome out of that because although he has South Dakota, he's not going to carry anything extra. He's already got it. I mean, he's not going to pick her. It's a done deal. So,
I think she might have a place in his administration.
Oh, I totally see her as ag administration or something on the cabinet. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, maybe not. She might want to stay in South Dakota. She's been to D.C., but who knows? I don't know. I don't try to second guess that stuff. And I'm kind of with Trump. I don't know if the VP really carries that much clout with voters on the fence. I just don't see it. Kamala didn't do that with Biden. We saw that. So she's got no chance. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
That is like the worst pick ever.
Oh.
I mean, there are a few vice presidents out there in history that we go, that guy was pretty useless. But this one, I got to tell you, every time they put her out there, and you're talking about Biden, who's a gaffe machine. She this cackling laugh
Her
that
and her
she's got and the
cackling word
chuckle.
salads.
Yeah, word salad. Thank you very much. Exactly
Oh,
right. It's a word. It's like she's got like a bunch of different words that come up on a refrigerator in the morning. That's what's going to be her conversation for today, and she's going to make it fit no matter what. But it doesn't make any sense.
isn't it hard to believe that she was an attorney, plus a state's attorney and an attorney general? I mean, I think she's stupid, but maybe she knew the law, or either that she was good on her knees. I don't know, but somehow she made it to the top there.
Well, no, she was in California and in
Right.
different sections where basically you don't get anything done anyway. You
Yep.
have a court system that is so blocked up that you don't have to worry about saying you have a good track record with, except for one or two cases
Right.
of having things done, because basically it's just one big boondoggle. I mean, you just can't get
No.
anything through.
And here's one thing too. Like I said, we're Second Amendment based here for the most part. Haley's record isn't horrible, honestly, guys. As a Second Amendment supporter, it really isn't. It's not as bad as well. It's not bad at all. She was pretty good. Trump has a good record, especially on judges, right?
Right.
He did have a gaffe in the beginning on the bump stock thing, and it's very true. Trump took a lot of heat for that. I think he took some bad advice, probably regretted it.
Mm-hmm.
And he essentially let the ATF and encouraged the ATF to go after the bump stocks, okay, and get them out of there. And remember the whole Vegas thing that happened and things like that. So, and he actually, I've heard him a couple times even say that he probably made a mistake there. And I think he did. Otherwise, I mean, you look at the Bruin case, which is probably one of the most monumental cases. It was actually bigger and more important than Roe versus Wade, because it has now been the precedent and sets the course for every Second Amendment ruling now coming up to it since it passed. I mean, that thing was huge, and it gave that historical use on firearms. You know who's responsible, Mike, for putting them people in there? President Trump. He got three justices that are siding with the constitutionality of the Second Amendment. So now you have Heller, which affected D.C.,
Right.
and now you have Bruin, which is being affected nationally. I'm telling you, nobody, as far as that goes, has done more for the Second Amendment than President Trump, because he put in the right people. He got them through. Not only that, he appointed a lot of Second Amendment pro-gun, pro-constitutional judges. He filled more positions than any president ever had in his term. So, that's what I really weigh. It's all about the Constitution for me.
Looking at the bump stock that went through the Supreme Court and all that, and they're talking about the ATF. I mean, made a terrible case. I don't think that our side made a great case, but Kavanaugh, Alito, they picked it apart pretty good. But there were some times where I looked at the judges and on both sides, and they had no concept of what I mean, thinking that a bump stock basically says that it's a machine
Call it
gun.
a machine gun, and it comes on a benefit.
And just let it go. But I mean, and here's the other thing is on these bump stock things with 2019, right? Is that when they put that through? Is you're talking about every single person who owns one is now a criminal. And
overnight with the stroke of a pen.
Overnight with the stroke of a pen, you made everyone that owns one a criminal. And they even brought this up. They said if they were concerned that people who just don't follow the ATF's guidelines that are printed out every week, don't sit down next. And this is actually a quote from the case. They don't sit down by their fireplace with a copy of the ATF rules, reading through it each week to see what the ATF has changed on them. And
right.
Of course, now they're criminals and could do years in prison if they're caught with those things because
they classified them as an NFA item. Trump actually encouraged them to do it. They didn't do it. If anyone forgets, they actually did not do it under Trump. Okay. Even though they were kind of being pressured, but we had a different ATF director. Remember, right. We had a different Department of Justice head in our Attorney General at that time. Merrick Garland come along, Biden come along, and of course his ATF director. Oh my God, these guys are all commies. They hate the Second Amendment. They've got a history of hating the Second Amendment. They tried. Obama tried to put Garland in there in a recess session. It did not work.
Nope.
And he was not put in as the Attorney General, which was good. They stayed in session.
That's one thing McConnell did right. Yes. I think. Yeah,
he did. But, I mean, like I said, Haley versus Trump, I knew he was going to win. You got to remember, Trump's been campaigning since January 2021, plain and simple. Even though he didn't officially announce, but he has been. And he's never let up. So it doesn't surprise me that he's got the leads and the momentum that he's seeing right now. And with the economy and the way the country is, people are mad on both sides.
Yeah.
Right now, if you look at polling, which I don't put a lot of weight in polls, but even the left polls, when they're trying to get the best results they can, even their own side is saying things really suck. I mean, overall. And I don't know. I don't think they can. I know they're going to try to cheat, but I don't think they're going to get it done. Make it so big they can't rig it. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And so I think we're going to take a quick break here, though,
Right.
and then we're going to come back. Josh, we're going to come back to your point as long as we're on this. I think
we've been on here for 30 minutes already, haven't we?
I know. Yeah, it's amazing. Time goes really fast when you're having fun. So let's take a quick break here, guys. We'll be right back, and we're going to come back to Josh's comment about Kelly Armstrong. I should play the right one first, I imagine.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
All right, again, thanks to our sponsors, guys. We can't do it without you. And I do know that Corey actually went down to Double H Guns here when he was up there, I think, last week and bought a little ammo. I think he stopped in and talked to Axe. So thanks for visiting those sponsors. They love to hear it. So, all right, guys. I'm going to bring the comment up. Josh Patterson says, what's your thoughts on Kelly Armstrong's ad about protecting the Second Amendment with a hunting ad?
Yeah.
Seen lots of guys commenting that the Second has nothing to do with hunting. Seems like politicians think that the Second is about hunting, but it's not. You want me to take this, or you got a comment first?
Well, I'll go ahead and say the comment. I mean, I don't have to know much about Kelly to know that when you do that, you don't know. You're listening to your advisors who don't know. You're listening to guys and girls that are advising you that come from Minnesota and Virginia and all these places out east that don't know what the Second Amendment is really about. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so I guess I look at it like this way. I don't think much of the ad. It's actually out in a postcard as well. I got one in the mail here the other day. So Kelly Armstrong's out there, and he's got his shotgun and his bird, and I'm a big hunter, loves the Second Amendment. You know what I want a politician to do? I want a politician to get up there and go, I support the Second Amendment 100%. It'd be better if they recognize and memorize it and say it. But I'd rather them come up and say, and I understand the founding of that amendment, and it's to protect us, you, me, the people, so that we have some means to overthrow our government if needed, because that was the intent of it.
Mm-hmm.
If the government gets tyrannical, our founders wanted us to have a way to try and correct course, okay? And to take out tyrants and to stop treason and to stop tyranny. That is the intent of the Second Amendment. Now, What's the after effects? We get self-defense from anybody.
Mhm.
And yes, we get to go hunting. But I have yet to see any politician except Ted Cruz. And probably, I think Jeff Jordan, I believe or Jim Jordan did it, I believe, both pointed this out in hearings to the FBI and to the ATF director what the Second Amendment's intent was when I was watching those. So does Kelly get it? Honestly, Josh, I think he does. I listened to enough of his testimony watching him on the House floor. Yes, I watch really boring things during the day if I have a chance. and when Kelly grills people, remember, he was on the Justice Committee essentially, and he's on the Armed Services Committee. Kelly held some pretty good spots there in the House. And his Second Amendment, at least when he's grilling people and he's voting, his Second Amendment votes are pretty damn solid. So I don't think much of his ad. I think Mike's got it spot on. He's listening to his advisors. He should tell them advisors go freaking cram it. You're in North Dakota running for governor now, and you're going to resonate with 90% of the people, I believe, if you get out there and just tell it how you believe it is. I think that would do him a lot more service than to pretend he's this hunter. The Second Amendment has nothing to do about hunting. Nothing.
Well, it comes down to it reminds me, because he listens to the advisors, when politicians do that, it's no different than we had that ATF guy on Face the Nation this past weekend call a magazine clips. And,
Yes.
it's the same mistake that for the East Coast elite don't really register with them. But for everybody else, we look at it and we go, oh, good. Come on.
We should have
man.
loaded that clip, I guess.
And know what you're talking about. That's what you should do. So, I mean, that's the thing. And he knows, like I said, he knows better. So,
Well, and Jamie just points this out, guys, and it is true. The ad is fuddish. Yes, it is. But Kelly Armstrong owns ARs, and he promotes and hunts with them and a suppressor. So does Christy Nome. She hunts with suppressors as well. I will tell you this, absolutely unequivocal, that Christy Nome on the Second Amendment, I can't find one single vote that she's ever been anti-gun.
No.
Okay. She's the one on, our mutual friend, Stace Nelson. I helped write that bill with Stace. We got it through finally. It was a year after I was out because we lost the first time because the Rhino Rounds wouldn't sign it. We got constitutional carry passed. And Christy Nome said when she's running, if it got to her desk, she'd sign it, and she did.
Yep.
She's unequivocally really, there's nothing about her that's anti-gun. She's very pro Second Amendment, and she believes it. She knows what that amendment means. Now, I got other gripes about her, but on that,
I do too.
I got no issues. Now, Kelly, I think will be the same way as a governor. I think when it comes to Second Amendment, he's going to be far outstanding. He's going to be way better than anybody we've seen on the Second Amendment in North Dakota as a governor in a long time.
Right.
Because I'm basing that on his votes. And Jamie, he just said it too. I knew that as well. I know that the man loves guns, hunting. He loves shooting. He loves it all. And he knows what the Second Amendment means. So the ad is stupid, but it is. But as far as the Second Amendment values, I do not question them. I really don't.
Gene says, was it Dugard that shot that down?
Oh yeah, I always thought Kelly was a pro Second Amendment guy, as one that stood behind the second. He really does, Josh. He really does.
Good.
And what's he got up here? Excuse me.
Oh yeah, not Rounds.
It was sorry, you're right. It wasn't Rounds. It was Dugard.
Yeah.
But
Rounds,
Rounds did veto it too, though, Gene. We presented that more than once.
The reason why we say that is because that Dugard was so uninventive or rememberable. There's nothing really to remember about the Dugard years that it's kind of hard to, you kind of skip back and forth to ones you remember.
Was he a one-termer? I don't even remember.
No, he is two, but he's just another one of those guys that
when Rounds went, off to DC. Then that's how he got in there the first time, if I remember.
Yeah.
Wasn't that his lieutenant? But Gene, you're right. Yeah, I forgot it was him today. But so did Rounds. Like I said, we brought that. In fact, Rounds, he actually fought us on it. You want to go farther back? When we were trying to put reciprocity in the state, that's when I was helping out with the South Dakota Shooting Sports Association, their lobbyists. Can you believe this? Janklow was going to veto constitutional carry because his highway patrol guy, the commander, said, "Oh, we can't have this in the state of South Dakota."
Yeah.
So I went to Pierre, and I went there with their guy, and we sat there. And I didn't work for the NRA at the time, but so I had a long history working out there in Pierre. And we said, "Well, what's it going to take for you to sign this bill?" Janklow looked right at us. That's one thing I'll give Janklow. He'd tell you exactly what he thought. He said, "Veto-proof legislature, because I'm not going to be looking like a fool."
Yeah.
We weren't that many votes away from that. So we spent an extra, I think, week in Pierre, twisting arms and talking to people and making our case. And guess what? We passed it in the House and the Senate with a veto-proof number. And what Janklow do? Signed it. And then made a big announcement about how pro-gun he was.
Yeah.
Typical politician. But I didn't care. We got it passed. So anyway, that's, I guess, as far as Armstrong goes on that, I feel on the Second Amendment, he's going to be solid. You realize Burgum, our North Dakota listeners, Burgum actually supported red flag laws before basically somebody got his ear and said, "Hey, you can't be supporting this."
Well, he supported him before he didn't. That's the old
him
thing.
And Rich Wardner and that whore of a Department of Public Instruction, Kirsten Baszler. She's an alcoholic and a whore and a man beater. Yes, I said it. Don't care. So anyway, I'll have to explain that to you, Mike.
I don't think you have to. I think you pretty much spelled it out. Even I got.
I didn't say she was an ugly one, but yes.
Well,
I got
no one likes an ugly whore. There you go.
But anyway, they all were on board for that. Josh Patterson nailed it on Baszler. Yeah, and everyone's nailed Baszler. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I can't stand her. So, Lynette, you're right. I think that Armstrong will be better than Tammy Miller. That's Burgum's choice anyway. I think Kelly will actually. He's establishment. Let's get that out of the way. I'm not a big Kelly Armstrong guy, as far as a supporter. But I will tell you on the Second Amendment, I do believe he's solid. He's establishment. So is Burgum. But he's a different establishment. And I think this establishment will be better than Burgum's establishment. It's a poor choice. We do have Coach. Michael Coachman's in this running too, if he gets the signature. I don't know if he's turned it in yet, but I know he announced. I like Coach. I think Coach is a great guy, and I did vote for him last time, even though Burgum got reelected. But I do not trust Miller. So if it comes down to it after the primaries, and I do believe that Armstrong will be the nominee, then that's who I'll be voting for. That's what I'm going to do, because I don't think Coach will make it through the primary.
Yeah.
In the primary, I'm voting Coach,
Yeah.
just so everybody knows. I don't care. I'm going to vote my conscience. I just have to. No, Corey says he'd like to stay off to a fire meeting, so go get trained. I know you need
That's
it.
right. Now's the time when we give out his number to all the women out there.
That's right. Every time. You need to watch the replays, Corey.
There you go.
Brian
Well-
Warner, he says, if you think Kelly has a FUD ad, you should see Miller's. And I haven't seen it, so I'm going to have to go seek that one out as well. I haven't seen that one.
I got to check out. Yeah, there's been a lot of doozy ads so far coming up this year, and it's just, yeah. Dugard gave us the higher. We've talked about this. Of course, Dugard did was it Thorne Dugard is when we jumped up to 80 miles an hour on the highway, but they put the extra taxes on us and everything like that.
That happened?
Except for counties like I think Pendleton County and other counties that are all 65 and lower, but they still have to pay the taxes just the same.
So the deal that was made, Pennington and Meade, which would be
Pennington.
Sturgis and Rapid City, between Rapid City and Sturgis, was that, no, we're going to go to 80 mile an hour on the interstate.
Yeah.
And they did fight that. Well, then the trade-off was that, then you're going to get the taxes. Then they turned around and got it passed. And what did the legislature do? Screwed them two counties because people complained about when the rally's in town.
Mm-hmm.
So they just went down, I think it's 75 between, it's either 70, I think it's 75 between Sturgis. Actually, I think it's the state line all the way to Rapid City all the time.
Yeah.
And then when the rally's going on, they drop it more. Why didn't they just drop it how they wanted it during the rally and leave it at 80 any other time? They really got screwed. They still got to pay the higher license fees and taxes, and they got a lower speed limit.
I know. Hey, by the way, earlier you were talking about, of course, all the corporations and everybody that was paying, people paying people, Democrats on both and Republicans, but giving money to both candidates, stuff like that. if you are on the video, if you're just listening to this, we'll explain it to you real quick. I found this. This is a good example of why there are only really 7 or 8 companies in the world that own everything. So those 7 or 8 companies, of course, will give money to everybody in both sides and hedge their bets and everything else. But yeah, and that's why donations, it's kind of a messed up thing anyway. But yeah, that just goes to show you there are really only 7 or 8 real companies in the world.
Yeah, it's horrible. I hate every time I see a buyout. I just know there's less freedom and less competition happening. And that's what's happened. That's why you've gotten these huge corporations, and now guess what? They're kind of dictating things because they buy politicians, and they do. And I've told the story before with NRA.
Yep.
You know what? You know why we have so much power? Well, one, we've got the membership still. Regardless of what you hear in the news, it's still the best, biggest Second Amendment lobbying organization in the United States that has the most effect on the races, and and it truly does.
And that's why they go after it.
And they do, and that's why we give money to Democrats. Oh my God, when they were giving money to Stephanie Herseth in South Dakota, oh, did I get my ass chewed? My phone rang, and I was like, guys, right now she's voting correctly, and it's because of the money we give her.
I'm trying to remember Speaker of the House. I think it was Speaker of the House, or
Hey,
no.
I'll
It was
do
in
that,
the Senate.
Doug.
It was in the Senate. It was the guy down in Arizona. He's passed away now, but I'm trying to remember which one he is. But yeah, it was same deal. I mean, he's playing golf with LaPierre and everything like that. And the reason is that, well, they're keeping him in the back pocket, and he kept a lot of things out of the Senate that didn't go through against guns. He was one of our stops.
Oh, that was Harry Reid.
Harry Reid, thank you.
Well, not Arizona. He was out of Nevada. Dingy Harry, yeah. Dingy Harry is a Democrat, but he always kept the Second Amendment on cue. He did.
Right.
And that's no kidding. If it wouldn't have been for Harry Reid, we would have had a horrible, horrible gun bills come to the floor of the Senate when they were in control. And he kept them out of there. And it's because, let's just face it, it's because of the large donations that the National Rifle Association made through ILA to Harry Reid. It's the truth. I mean, there's no running from it. And why would you? We did that to keep gun laws at bay and gun legislation at bay while the Senate was controlled by the Democrats and they had the White House. Otherwise, then you'd have seen horrible bills come through that they wouldn't have been able to do nothing about.
Well, I also think that things like the ban, the assault weapon ban and all that would still be in place probably if it wasn't. They would have re-upped it if it wasn't for guys like Harry.
They might have. I mean, Feinstein and all of them tried to bring it every year. So it could have very well been. While Bush was there for 8 years, it was never going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, when Obama got in there, there's a good possibility they could have brought that up. And if it wouldn't have been for Harry Reid at the beginning there, you're absolutely right. It probably could have happened. But
yeah,
Harry Reid kept it at bay, and they couldn't really go against Reid. He'd been there so long, just like McConnell. So sometimes that's just the way it works, and it's no different in the state legislators. I can't tell you how many times I took a trip to Pierre on a gun bill, and it was we had a couple people that needed to have a visit and be reminded of the money they took and what would happen if they didn't. And I was that guy. I'm the one they sent. Yeah. Now, granted, I worked for NRA and NRA's foundation, mostly doing the banquets that you and I are all familiar with. But I also did work for ILA.
Yep.
And I was one of the few reps that did that because I enjoyed it. It didn't bother me. I'd hop in my pickup, drive to Pier, and knock on the door and go, "Hey, how you doing?" And it was either this look like, "Oh, crap," or it was people I knew, and they were glad to see it. But most of the time, it wasn't a friendly visit. So, you know what? Money talks. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Well, that's like the problem that I always have when people say, well, the NRA, they shouldn't be allowed to lobby like this. And I'm like, our whole system is set up on lobbying.
If we didn't, the others are doing it every day with more money and more often. So you should be glad we do. But all right, let's tell you what, we're going to wrap that up. I think we've hammered that baby enough.
Yeah.
And I do agree with everybody. I think Armstrong's a Second Amendment guy. The rest of his policies, well, that'll be I think out of the two between Miller and Armstrong's your guy to vote for. I really do.
We got to ask Doug Wolf what graphic he wants up on the
one you
website.
had up about all the companies. So if you want to email that to me, Mike, then I'll
do that. I'll do that.
We'll get that taken care of. So we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back, discuss John Cornyn out of Texas just a little bit. And then from there, we got our rapid fire 2A bullet points coming up. So
there we go.
We'll see you on the flip side here.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
All right. So, as we said, we're going to jump right into John Cornyn. If you guys don't know him, he is a senator out of Texas, Republican, so he says. And we've been hearing a little bit about him lately. One of the things is he thinks he can run now from McConnell's spot, which I kind of laugh at that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you go ahead and take this, and then we'll break it down.
Well, basically, of course, this comes from the Gun Owners of America, one of the many groups speaking out against about Cornyn. Of course, they basically call him a traitor, which he is, and he should join Mitch McConnell in retirement. They're saying that the conservative firearms group spoke out against Texas Senator John Cornyn and his bid to replace Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell. The Senate deserves a conservative pro-gun leader, and John McConnell is not that person. Every time a gun issue comes up, he's right there with a compromise, and that's not leadership. That's just capitulation to gun control.
Absolutely. He's the guy that helped orchestrate the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, that rubbish that Biden pushed through, their most comprehensive gun control bill ever in history, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, John Cornyn is always quick. He's as bad as McCain was. Remember the Gang of Eight that McCain was part of?
And I always hate that term. I hate it when they got those groups because that always means there's a compromise coming.
Absolutely. And it's usually a bad one because usually when you're compromising with leftists, it means you did it their way. They don't compromise ever. Yeah. Never do they compromise. And our side gets in there and goes, oh, well, we'll do this or we'll do that.
They want to take away the guns and you want to keep the guns. So they're going to compromise by taking away half of your guns.
Yeah, basically, or making it hard. To me, the Second Amendment is a fundamental right that the government didn't give us. The Republicans didn't give us. Nobody gave us that. God granted that to us. So you can't infringe on it. It says it right there in the 27 words, shall not be infringed. My Second Amendment isn't up for debate nor compromise. And I always say that when I'm testifying up there at Bismarck, that I'm not interested in compromise because my rights aren't up for debate or compromise, and nor will I do it. So no, there is no middle ground. If you want to infringe, if you want to restrict, if you want to ban, you are wrong. You are constitutionally wrong, and I will not compromise that. And I don't know how much clearer a guy can be. Cornyn, he can't wait to, hey, I'm right there, guys. What kind of deal can we make?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here for you guys. We're not here for you. That's the thing.
And I don't think Cornyn's he's being primaried down there in Texas, and I don't think he's going to survive. I just seen Paxton on a show this morning talking about that exact thing. And Paxton's like, I don't think so. They right now in their primaries, 5-5 is outwent on those 10 that tried to oust him and get rid of him. 5 lost their seats because of it. Now they got primaried and they got smoked. And you got true MAGA Republicans going in there now in those 5 seats. That's gonna make a hell of a difference in their legislature too. So I think Cornyn's on his way out. We shall see whether he runs again. I don't know what he's got left. I think he's up this year. I'd have to look it up, but He's going to get primaried. There's no doubt about it.
Well,
I like what Brian. You're right. Bipartisan usually means the Republicans grabbed their ankles and took it up the old keister. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, hey, here's one for you, Mike. One Shot's got a question for you.
Oh,
He says,
the answer is yes.
he asked, "Are you the dumb bass or the dumb ass?"
Yes. And yes, in both of those. So we're good to go.
So, yeah, as far as like I said, John Corn, I'm not impressed with. I haven't been impressed with him for a long time. I think it's time for him to go and be thrown on the trash heap of history, right along with McConnell. I think he's been there as a career politician, sucking off the teat of the taxpayer with a big wage and a big retirement package, and really, honestly, he's just about as bad as Thune anymore. And Thune's, threw his hat in the ring for this.
Yeah.
I worked for Thune's campaign on both of them. The one
He ain't the same Thune. He's not the same Thune he was.
He ain't the same Thune when we elected him to the Senate and defeated Daschle.
Mhm.
He is Daschle now.
Yeah.
I will say that he's been still pretty good on the Second Amendment, although he's wavered in the last couple of years. But last time I talked to him, we were having dinner. I used to know this guy pretty good, and he asked for my support, and I said, I can't give you my support anymore, John. I said, your votes, they're not with the core values that we ran on, which I helped you with in the beginning. I said, I can't support you anymore, John. And he didn't like that, and I haven't heard from him since. So I see where his loyalty was.
That goes to show you right there.
Friends.
I'm going to ask you for your help, but you know what? If you say what I don't like, well, I'm not going to listen to you anymore.
I mean, I thought we were maybe friends better than that, but evidently not. So whatever. I don't care. I wasn't going to lie to the guy because I'm not going to support him, and I don't support him.
Yeah.
I think he should be replaced, but he probably won't go. I don't know. I will say this: when we went to the Trump rally down in Rapid, me and my son, Thune wasn't the 10. Kristen Noem was there.
All right.
But Thune wasn't the 10. And when they showed his picture on the screen, I've never heard the ice hockey arena go into such a loud, boisterous boo in South Dakota for Thune. Thune didn't used to get booed.
No.
And when we went to the stock show, they didn't really boo him. I maybe heard a few people, but the applause when he showed his face and waved wasn't that great.
Well, I mean, I remember the days when I first moved here, and he was in the stands with us up at the Corn Palace Rodeo up in our stands, not the Crow's Nest or anything like that, and actually sitting with us and talking to people. Those days are long gone. He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't listen to people anymore. That's the problem. Is that he's too far gone on that, and he's been in Washington too long.
He has, and when he quit the House, he said, "I'm going to go there and serve." What was it, 2 terms or 3 terms? And he did. He did what he said, and he stepped down. And we tried to get him to run a couple other times. Nope, not going to do it. He says, I went in, I did what I had to do. I think I accomplished what I needed. Finally, we got him convinced to run against Johnson.
Yeah. Tim
Johnson had a stroke, which I don't know how, to this day, I don't know how any campaign fights a person with a stroke. He didn't die, but he had a stroke. And you can't really go after the guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you can't kick him in when he's down. That's just the way it is. I mean,
Johnson got reelected. We just wrote that off as that's how that was going to go. And then we prepared for the Daschle run. Right then and there, that was decided, even though nobody ever said nothing until it got closer. But that's what we were doing. For 2 years, we were working on the Daschle run before Daschle even knew. I think he had his suspicion. And we defeated and unseated the Senate Majority Leader. Think about that.
Yeah.
And Thune was a different man. He was on his game. He was a different man. He was the guy you talked about. He can get out there, visit with people, sit with them, talk to them. Now the guy don't even want to hardly get in front of nobody unless he's got a barrier, between you and him.
Yeah. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel in this state. I mean, his visits back here to the homeland, he doesn't.
Getting fewer.
Well, it's not only that they're fewer. They're not out with regular people. I mean, they are not. They are these very, very niche little meetings of handpicked people that are there that support him, and that's just the way it is. It's just
it is. And I know, I haven't talked to John Wick lately, a friend of mine. I know he's the head of the South Dakota GOP now. I don't know where he stands with Thune. I mean, when you're the chairman of the GOP of your state, I suppose there's got to be a certain amount of cordialness to
Right.
it. But John used to be, as far as I know, he was pretty darn good conservative. He was a volunteer. You were up there with us when we did his banquet
Yeah.
up there on the other side of Millbank. I forget that little town over there, but John was a big, huge Second Amendment guy. Still is. I don't
Right.
question his Second Amendment credentials at all. So I just, I don't know how John thinks about Thune, but I imagine he probably can't say a lot being the
Well, of course
state
not.
chairman. And that comes with that territory, I guess. It wouldn't me if I was the chair. It wouldn't matter to me because I'd still say I think John needs to retire because I want to be truthful. But that's
Right.
not always the popular way to go. So
Well, the same things that, we need people like that behind the people in power, because somebody should have convinced McConnell
a long time ago.
10 years ago that he needed to retire.
Yeah.
I remember actually McConnell and my father-in-law, of course, putting on a banquet for him for when he would eat, when much in younger days. I was like, that was like in the 80s. But, I remember those days, and he was ancient then, and,
Yep.
he is now. So it's just,
Hey. Yeah. I got to give a
if
big,
you got it, if you're still holding on to all your faculties and you can do the job, that's fine. But when you have lost your step and you can no longer, I got to say, if that happens to me at my job, I know that it's maybe time for me to step down. And I'll do something else. I don't know what it is, but it'll be quieter than what I do now. But yeah.
No, I agree. Keith says Dashel did visit me in the hospital. My dad was no fan, though. I'm sure your dad wasn't. I know Dennis is. He's with us. I know that, Keith. And for those who don't know, Keith was injured pretty good in Iraq. Spent a lot of time in hospitals, and I think everybody was real good to Keith, as far as I can remember. I know that your mom, I think I forget which one, flew him out. Took care of that for the travel, flying your parents out. So yeah, that way I don't think it matters whether they're Democrat or Republican. At least from the Dakotas, they're going to take care of their constituents in a time of need like that.
Right.
And I think they both did a great job with Keith, if I remember right. So we're glad to have Keith back. He's all healed up and doing
Good.
great. So.
A story that I don't know if I told you ever before, but I don't know if you guys ever got to meet my dad when I moved him here for a little while. My dad was an over-road trucker for like 30 something years.
Met him one time when I was down there in Mitchell.
Okay. Yeah. And of course, staunch Republican, hardcore conservative, 30-year
Your wife loved
trucker.
him then. Your wife loved him then.
Oh, yes. They had their problems too. But when McGovern died, it surprised the hell out of me. He's like, "Can you drive me to the highway where they're going to go by with McGovern's funeral procession?" And I was like, "Well, he's Democrat. Are you sure?" He says, "You know what? Whenever what you say about the man," and I didn't like his politics worth a damn, but he never turned on any of the veterans, and he was always supportive of the veterans, and he was always there for them in their time of need. So, you've got to look at it. And we all have our own individual issues we all hang on to, but we can all see the good in other people. You got
to give credit where credit's due. It's just like when Heidi Heidkamp was up here. I can't stand her politics.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Democrat. But for the most part, until she decided to go completely off the reservation, she was pro-gun. She voted pro-gun, and it was better than having an anti-gun Democrat in there. Not that I wanted a Democrat at all, but I will give her this. And I always commended her. I was like, well, she did vote correctly. She did vote, voted this bill or voted down this bill based on the Second Amendment and its protection. Now, she quit that at the end, just like Dashel did. And that was the end of her. She was replaced. Kevin Kramer replaced her. So let's go. Quentin Burdock. Yeah. Burdock, he died in office. In fact, I think his wife ended up finishing out his term, if it reminds me.
Right, I remember right.
And Doug brings up another thing. He goes, "It reminds me that they all ran on. Look how many dollars we were returning to the state. I wish they'd, you know what? I can't wait for the day. Maybe I'm going to have to be the one that does it. Where you go to Washington and then you come back and say, ladies and gentlemen, I brought nothing back that was pork for you. I brought back the things that needed to come here. the things that you paid for, but I did not bring pork back to your state because that's not the function of government. And I cut it out of the budget. I've never heard one say that. I've never heard Kevin or any of these other guys, and I know Kevin. Him and I had a hell of a discussion about this one. He said, well, we did cut the budget. I said, no, you cut the rate of spending in the budget. That's not a cut. When you make a cut, it means you're going to spend less than the year before, and I don't think that's happened. I don't even know when the last time that ever happened. A cut, I don't know about you, Mike, but a cut in my budget means that I'm spending less than I did the year before.
Right.
Because I had to cut something because we don't have the revenues to do it. I mean, I did that with the NRA. I walked in there and cut my budget, my expenses. I cut it in half the first year. I did that for 4 years straight. So nothing against the guy before me, but tells you a little something, don't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's just, and the problem is like you said, even if you get a tenth of senators and congressmen to think that philosophy, they could set an example.
Oh yeah.
They could set an example.
Might even catch on.
Well, it might have to, because, if anything, politicians always like to do what's popular.
Right now, we are, yeah. And we are printing money. When every time they print a dollar, the dollar in your pocket's worth less. It's worth half of the one printed. And if it was printed before, hell, our dollar's probably really not worth anything, which we're seeing. That's why inflation is up. But that's a whole other stuff. You know what the only thing inflation does? It really hurts my budget for buying guns and ammo. It really pisses me off. So, all right, up top of the hour, let's take another quick break. When we come back, should we do a little bit of rapid fire 2A?
Yeah, let's see if we can come up with a couple of things here real quick.
I think we do. So, all right, here we go.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
All right, so I'm going to jump right into this. I'm going to take that first 2A bullet point. Hope you don't.
You go right ahead. All right.
All right, my first one is it's from Senator Joni Ernst. She has introduced the Firearm Act, which will create a safe harbor for gun dealers. National Shooting Sports Foundation, actually, they're all for this. They welcome the introduction of Senate Bill 3812. Here's what it's named: Fighting Irrational Regulatory Enforcement to Avert Retailers' Misfortune. Spells out Firearm Act. You got to love that.
Oh, okay. I had to work on it there for a moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Fighting Irrational Regulatory Enforcement to Avert Retailers' Misfortune. I mean, you got to, like I said, it's just kind of funny, the Firearm Act.
Right.
It's also accompanied by U.S. Rep. Daryl Issa in the House, and it's called H.R. 7471. And there's what it's going to do. Specifically, it's going to create a safe harbor for federal firearms licensees. Now, if you guys don't understand what's been happening, Biden administration has instructed the Department of Justice, who they basically told the ATF, get rid of firearms dealers. That's what their whole goal is. So basically what they're doing with this is they're going after people who might have a paperwork error or something like this. You used to be able to correct these. So specifically, the Act will create a safe harbor for FFLs to self-report violations so they can correct any accidental errors. Requires the ATF to work collaboratively with the FFLs to fix violations and help avoid future violations.
Mm-hmm.
Addresses the willfulness issue by defining it to mean a voluntarily intentional violation of a known legal duty achieved through specific intent or deliberating planning, excludes previous conduct, and creates a rebuttal if the conduct is not willful. Basically, what that's saying is that they're redefining what willfulness is. Meaning,
Willfulness.
did that FFL dealer do this on their own? Did they plan it? No. They got to prove it because they don't right now. They just accuse you of it. Also allows for direct judicial review of license revocation. I can't even talk tonight. Being revoked to avoid the ATF from serving as a prosecutor, judge, and jury. So they can't just come in and say, we're going to revoke your FFL because you did this, this, and this, even though in the past you've been able to fix it. You can, repeal it, things like that. No, boom. No, now it has to be reviewed with a judicial review. So I think it's a great thing. And this all is because Joe Biden, the executor who's holding the office, who's a moron, he basically instituted zero tolerance through the ATF, the entire department and bureaucratic state of the ATF. And it puts firearm businesses at risk. Right now, ATF just in 2023 revoked 157 FFLs, federal firearms licenses, because of these things.
Right.
An additional 80 firearm retailers said, you know what? We're going to voluntarily surrender our license because they could not endure the cost in the process of basically,
Sorry.
no, that's okay, of clearing their own name. So that's not good. And that pace actually has been increasing each year under his administration. So when you look at it, I'm glad to see it's happening. I don't know what it's gonna do. I think it passed the House. The Senate's gonna be iffy, but maybe someone will wake up and say, yeah, we need to do this. So Firearms Act, guy, that's one of my points. Go ahead.
All right. I'm back after the toilet break upstairs. Sorry about that. I think I'm back. Hey, I got to say this one real quick. Well, first on what you're talking about is when you bring 8 government lawyers to a courtroom against a mom and pop organization that's just trying to survive, you're going to end up making them spend all their money to try to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And all they got to do at the very end is drop it. And then, of course, you've already spent your money and you're already screwed. You're already in the hole. So that's what they're trying to do. They're strong arming. They're Caponing it is what they're doing.
Yeah, it's like anything. If you can't win, sue them to death. Put them in court and break them so that they have to give up. That's what they're doing. So
even if you win, you're still in debt. So yeah,
you don't win.
I got my story. So what are we calling this again? The Second Amendment? What?
We're calling it rapid fire bullet points. 2A.
All right.
Points.
Okay.
Amy and I used to do this all the time, so it's kind of.
I got one for you here, real quick. Here we go.
Yes.
Our new friend, Democratic Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C. Of course, she and our public safety team, along with Advisory Neighborhoods Commission, have been talking about crime and ways to build a safer D.C. Her quote from her, she says, "We should not let criminals take over our neighborhoods." Like, what a concept!
What a novel idea.
What a novel idea. The mayor and Washington lawmakers were recently sent a letter by several business groups in which they expressed their frustration over the alarming increase in crime across the city. I got a good quote in here that I really want to find here. The guns don't shoot themselves. This comes from her, by the way. Now, whenever we have a Democrat saying the gun's not the problem, there you go. During the meetings, the mayor, the police chief, talked about crime reduction and different things. And they said, and this is the mayor's quote, "We don't want to lock up our kids, but we might have to if they're using guns, all right. It's just that simple. We might have to." Like, it seems to me like that shouldn't be a question in there. If you commit a crime using a gun, you should be held accountable for that.
You would think, wouldn't you?
You would think, but apparently it's slowly. But she's now becoming our favorite mayor in Washington D.C. right now. So because she's saying all the things, and there's got to be one of her handlers behind her going, "That's against our talking points. That's not how this works." But anyway. Meanwhile, when it comes to numbers in D.C., witnesses the most homicides in 2 years last. With 274 deaths, violent crimes overall shot up 39%, and carjackings nearly doubled. But we might convict the criminals.
Say when you don't arrest, when you don't convict, look at New York, look at LA, look at San Francisco, look at Portland.
Chicago.
Seattle, Chicago. Look what's going on in these cities. They're not arresting people. They're being inundated by illegal aliens who are criminals. By chance, by their own definition, because they came here illegally. It's a wreck. And then DC, well, I've been out there. I think you've been out there. Several of us have.
Mm-hmm.
The historical sites are cool, but that place it's just dirty. It's trashy. It's a wreck. It really is.
Yeah.
And crime is rampant out there. So here's an idea. Prosecute them and throw them in jail.
Yeah. Maybe that might teach somebody something. I don't know.
It might. Gene Cox, hugs for thugs does not work.
Hugs for thugs.
There's a T-shirt. Do you see that?
Yeah, that we got to put that in our store. Hugs for thugs.
Oh man, we might have to do a couple T-shirts, new ones. I like.
Actually, it should be you with two guns like this. Hugs for thugs.
Well, we got a picture of Jamie with 2 ARs going freedom. Maybe that one.
Oh, there you go. That'll work out.
Hey, Wayne, glad to have you. Wayne Muth, he's dropping by. He was on 701 Nation here, I think, a couple weeks ago. They had a great show. If you didn't do that one, you can find them on Twitter, 701 Nation. You can find them on Rumble at our Guns at 701's page. And guys, I have not updated the website this last month, and I will be working on that the next few days. So I'll try to get everything up there uploaded for every one of our programs. A lot of things were going on this month. We had family in the hospital. I was down in Florida. So I will get on that thing and get it updated. But otherwise, you can find everything at Facebook, and you can find it on YouTube. Everything is always there all the time, 24/7. So, and if you want to listen to just podcasts and download them, iHeartRadio, that's the best place, or any place you get your podcast. Doug Wolf, Slugs for Thugs. I like that one too.
That's a good one too.
All right, we got some good ones going here. All right, I'm going to do one more. And by the way, I have a happy ending of the week tonight too. So.
Awesome.
This one, it isn't really political. It isn't. I just liked it. I know Gordon Bond. He's the owner of Bond Arms out of Texas down there. Well, recently, the 2024 SHOT Show took place.
Right.
I don't know if anybody's seen it, but they came out with some pretty cool stuff here. The one I really like is their lever action. They call it the LVRB. It boasts a short throw mechanism, accommodates a standard 30-round mag, has unparalleled versatility for shooters, which it would, and has options for calibers like the 223 Wild, the 5.56, and a planned future releases doing this in a 300 Blackout and a 350 Legend, which those would be two great 30-plus caliber rounds for a lever action, because let's face it, your lever action is like a 30-30 thing. They're a short yardage. They're a short run and gun. In fact, that's what I had in Florida. That's the only thing I was carrying this year. I was planning to shoot a hog with a 30-30 because generally it's close distance. So I really love it. That thing looked pretty badass too, guys. I really go check it out. Hit Bond Arms and see what I'm talking about, because I really love that thing. It just looks pretty cool. I might have to talk to David over there at 1760 Sports or Daryl down at H&A and see H&H and see what it's going to cost me to get me one of them, because I kind of
me and Jamie talked about that last month when you were out for one of the nights talking about out of the SHOT Show, talking about how the whole the lever action thing is swinging back around, and it's great because they're coming out with some great ones.
They are. The lever action, I think the lever action is being revitalized. People are really catching on to it. They like the nostalgia. They like the simplicity of it. I love it. To me, it's a great night gun. If you're not running night vision or thermal, that's your gun. Go out on a bright moonlit night. That's your gun, really, I think. Although I can tell you one thing I learned. I got to wear these. So I have a pair of safety glasses now. Jamie got me my first ones that have my, the the readers in them, so I can see the damn sights. Yeah, I'm getting old. What can I say?
It happens.
They also came out, excuse me, in addition to the lever gun, they have the model 4570 Cyclops. Think about that. A 4570 round. They named it because it's got one single bore.
Mm-hmm.
The customers wanted, they were demanding it. Then they feel it exceeds the expectations with the build and the recoil management features. I've seen this thing. I mean, it's typical Bond arms, but it's a 4570 single shot. That's badass. It really is. And another thing they came out with was the Thumper. It's chambered in a 50 AE. Now, I don't know if you shot my Desert Eagle in the 50 AE. That's a pretty good slug. Well, now they've got that in a Bond arms. Of course, that's going to give you just awesome stopping power. It has a great performance record in tests. And basically Gordon thinks it's going to become a very popular gun amongst people. I think he's right. Hey, welcome also. I didn't tell everybody. Thanks to everyone on Rumble. We've had quite a few Rumble viewers in and out of there. So thanks for listening.
Awesome.
I seen them over on Twitter on 701 Nation, but for some reason tonight it didn't go to our Guns in 701. Can't tell you why. The last thing they came out with is the Stinger and the Honeybee. Basically, their lightweight aluminum frame. The Stinger of the Stinger is a compact yet powerful Honeybee, and they offer unique shooting experience. So they got two little guns there. They're proud of them. That's their new lineup. I think they're great guns. So go check them out, guy. Bond Arms. I think you're going to enjoy what you see. Gordon makes a great product there. I had the pleasure of meeting him down at the 75th Rally in Sturgis one year. Me and Dave from Wyoming, the rep out of there, had our booth right next to him. Got to know him and his wife, and just a solid guy. He really is. So
there you go.
Check him out.
Hey, which one of these stories do you want me to play? Point play.
Go to your right.
Is that my right or your right? Oh, you can't.
Go to your right. I'll just say your right. How about
all right,
that?
my right. No, okay, this is my right. Okay, never mind. You're going to love this one. All right, here we go. I'm going to read you the title real quick. Illegally present foreigners who do not have a constitutional right to bear arms that can arrest and even disarm U.S. citizens in our country. Can you name the state that is taking place in?
My goodness, it's got to be Illinois or California, probably. But
well, you had a 50-50 chance, and California is absolutely correct. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, the Los Angeles Police Department, that's right, is hiring illegal border crossers with deferred action for childhood arrivals, or DAPA, or whatever that thing's called, DACA. Equip them with guns to police American citizens in California. Until recently, you ever heard this one yet? Yeah.
No, I haven't.
California only allowed U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents to process and attaining a citizenship to serve as law enforcement. In 2022, the Democratic legislature passed a law authorizing any of the hundreds of thousands of illegal border crossers, including DACA recipients, to retain work authorization to join the police force across their state. So, while some cities like Sacramento refuse to hire illegal border crossers due to their concerns about gun law violations, the LAPD, who has such a great track record, excuse me, I got that in the front of my camera, they have handed jobs and firearms to nearly a dozen DACA aliens. And of course, these illegal border crossers will possess department-issued firearms on and off duty. The department also plans to give jobs to illegally present foreigners who are currently in police training.
Wow.
Now, we have joked around and talked about it in the past, of course, is that there, I've kind of once in a while twitched my eye when you guys are saying they're bringing them in to give jobs to, and I'm thinking, I was like, and I've like going, maybe not. Maybe they're just, they're just guys and girls coming over. But then I'm looking at this and going, this is a flat out wrong thing to do. I don't understand that. So you've got guys who broke the law to come here, and then you gave them a job to enforce the law. So basically the law doesn't mean anything, is what you're saying.
Unbelievable, really. It's really unbelievable. Shouldn't surprise me, though.
So I wanted to throw that one at you real quick. And, of course, you can find that. I forgot where I got that one. There's
Ammo Land, I suppose.
Yeah, never mind. I print things out and it's always screwy. But yeah, if you like that one, boy, just wait to see what the Democrats got for us next.
Oh, unbelievable. So quickly here before we move on, I'm going to do something quick like that. There it is. So I'll just expand this out. There we go. There you go, guys. There it is. That's your new lever action from Bond Arms. It's like,
that's a lever action.
Yeah, check that out. See the little lever action? It takes a mag, a 223 mag. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I really do. I'm going to have to get one. I see it retails for like $1,600, but I don't know. We'll figure it out. I guess that when I got paid to go down to Atlanta, I got most of that. I'll just call that a freebie, right?
There you go. Well, it's money well spent. There you go.
Money well spent. So. All right. So before we go to the happy ending here, I just want to make a couple announcements here. We got coming up on Friday on Mitchell in the Morning. This is tentative, but Mitchell Morning, Friday morning, 7:15 Mountain, 8:15 Central. We're going to do, I know one thing I want to do is we're going to talk about basically it's Ontario's latest province to snub old Trudeau's assault weapon ban. They're not complying, so good to see that up there.
Oh, yeah.
Like to see, and I like to give, when we're doing Mitchell in the Morning, I like to do a little bit more North Dakota or our neighbors up there.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree.
And we've been following the Metcalf case. This has been a case about the gun-free zone out in Montana. There is an update on that, so we're going to go over that a little bit on Friday morning because we've been doing that for a while here as the case continues. If we need a little backup, I know I asked you to do a couple, so
yeah,
if you got a couple of by then, that's fine. We also got a couple things out of South Dakota State Legislature, and these are gun bills that were crushed in committee. I always talk about the ones that are going through. These were bad bills, and it was good to see the committee crushed them. So that'd be just a couple of things we got lined up for Mitchell in the morning. Thursday night, tomorrow night, guys, 7 p.m. Central, 701 Nation. They're going to have Brian Dean on from Shots Ammo, shotsammo.com. It's going to be the first segment of his cast out there for Jamie. The second part of the show is going to be Derek Turbide. He's a California transplant. He's an intern now at the NDGOP in Bismarck. And they're going to compare and contrast the difference in California versus North Dakota. And I think you guys are going to like this segment.
Yeah.
I know who this guy is now. And I think he's going to be a wealth of information for everybody just to show you the differences. I think he's enjoying the freedom out here, to tell you the truth. So, 701 Nation tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. And Jamie's doing something next Friday. And I thought I had it printed out here, but I'll come back to that. I think it's at 8 o'clock Central next Friday. It's going to be kind of a 701 tasting beverage, adult beverage tasting. You don't want to miss that. So we'll come back and I'll try to get that. I know he sent it to me, but I think it's 8 o'clock next Friday.
That'll be like my podcast idea I shot to you, the 5 shots in.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, where you give me 5 shots of liquor and then ask me questions. Yeah.
That's right. I'm going to look this up. I want to get this right for Jamie. Let's see. Yeah, Friday the 15th, he's going to have 5 other guests on, and they're going to do drinks with the 701 at 8 p.m. Central Time. So don't miss that, guys. I think that's going to be another great segment. All right. Well, let's do one quick ad. When we come back, we'll do the happy ending of the week, and we're going to wrap this baby up if you're okay with that.
I'm good with it.
Okay. Let's see you after we thank our sponsors.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Hey.
All right. Again, thanks to Lauer Auto Repair. He does a great job, Axe. We always appreciate everything you do for us here. So, Lynette, I'm going to get a couple comments here. Lynette, she says, what about the 300,000 people Biden flew in last night? That's a whole nother rabbit hole. And yeah, wow. Flies them in. They're busting them in too, guys. Burkhart off of Law and Order or Law and Border. He was in Minnesota for the primaries. And guess what? He met up with buses coming in, and they were being dropped off at St. Paul, coming right from Guadalajara in Mexico. Can you believe that crap? That's a whole other story, though. Oh, Doug Wolf, sounds like some Red Dawn shit.
Yeah,
it kind of looks
about
like
right.
it, doesn't it? Jamie says, Democrats don't actually hate the police. They just hate police who don't do what they want them to do. The illegals will do exactly what the leftists instruct them to do. Absolutely, you're right. Absolutely right.
Well, they're giving them guns.
Yep, Wayne. Jamie's show was fun. Great show to be part of. Don't miss it tomorrow night. So it sounds great, Wayne. You know what, Wayne? We might have to have you on here too and do a little segment of that. We're looking to have a few extra guests on. I know me and Mike have talked a lot about it and throw some different things in there. But without much more wait, we have the happy ending of the week. All right, we try to focus on something that where firearms were used either for saving someone in self-defense, whatever it might be. This one here comes from Pennsylvania, and I picked that because there was just another shooting, some kind of a bus shooting again that just took place in Pennsylvania, and I don't have the details, but maybe we'll have them by next week. Two men wearing hooded sweatshirts, masks, and surgical gloves entered a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania pizza shop around 8:30 p.m. on November 4th, 2023. One of the men fired a handgun into the ceiling and then began to move to where an employee was standing behind the counter. The employee was a concealed carrier, however, and responded by, what do you think this guy did?
I think he might have shot back.
He just might have. He said he responded by firing at the assailant, killing him. And, of course, remember, there was another suspect, and I imagine, what do you think he did?
I think he ran.
Yeah, he fled. He said the other suspect fled. No other injuries were reported, and as of now, no charges have been filed. And like Rush used to say, you know what? There's a guy who was doing wrong. You got a guy with a good gun. Remember, a guy with a good gun will always win. He'll always stop it. That man now, he stopped him. He was intending to do harm. He's assumed room temperature, and we're better off without him. And that is a happy ending of the week.
There we go. Hey, by the way, and of course, before we wrap up tonight, don't forget about this real quick. Of course, there are
29 tickets left. I got everything put into the database today. I was working on it, and we're at 29 tickets. I thought we had a few less than that, but we had some who didn't pay, so I'm not going to count them as I'm not going to hound them anymore. So if you want them,
if you want them, by the way, that little icon up there, you can scan
right
that, do your $20 right up in there, and we'll be good to go.
$20, you 100, and get yourself a book. And we'll get, as soon as we get this thing, I think we're gonna give it a deadline here. I thought maybe by next week, if we ain't sold out, we probably will be. I'm definitely gonna. I think we should draw anyway. So maybe
I think we should.
On live.
I think we should.
Yeah. We've done well with it, and we appreciate everybody who participated, no doubt about it.
I just sold 6 tickets to a buddy of mine, Eric Hubbard, who, of course, owns a construction company down here, and I just paid him $9,000 to fix the floor of the Masonic Lodge, so I figured he could turn around and give me some money.
There you go. And both Jamie and you, Mike, or anybody, Brian, if you guys got people, I'm going to be coming up Saturday for that funeral of our good friend Marty Beard. He's a good friend and a supporter. His wife passed away after cancer, but you know what? They chose the path they wanted, and they have a great belief in God. So they were very much at ease with it. But, you hate to lose someone that young. And our prayers and thoughts are definitely with the Beard family. But we will be up there to show our support and be there for our buddy Marty. He's there for everybody else. So we'll be up there. If anyone needs tickets, guys, I'll be bringing them along with me on Saturday, and I can drop them off with you, afterwards. And, hey, if you want to sell some, great. We'll get them sold out. So, I guess with that, I don't have any other announcements other than that Friday morning, Mitchell in the Morning, going to be at 7:15 a.m. Mountain, 8:15 Central. I'm guessing you'll be joining me.
I will be.
All right. Sounds great. And with that being Vance isn't here tonight, and we've been forgetting to do this, but I always kind of I was getting a lot of good feedback. Let's just have a little prayer to say good night, and then we're going to call it an evening. Lord, we'd like to thank you for this beautiful day and for the freedom that we enjoy each and every day in the United States of America. We are so blessed to be born here and have the freedoms that you have blessed us with. All of our rights derive from your word and are God-given. Please watch over our family and friends. Keep them safe, healthy, and strong. Watch over the men and women who fight to protect this country each and every day. And a special prayer goes out to our Border Patrol agents who are in probably the toughest spot they've ever been in. You got one place saying one thing and another doing the other. Please keep them safe so that they go home to their families each and every night. We ask that you bless us, you bless this country, and that you will bring us out from the ashes once again and make this country whole. Again, thank you very much for everything you've given to each and every one of us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So with that, guys, go with God. Please go check out our website. Check out our iHeart, where our podcast will upload right after this. We'll download it and get it up there. Listen in tomorrow night to 701 Nation. I think Jamie's got a great show coming up. And hey, if you need some raffle tickets, you know where to find them. You can send it guns@gunsinthe701.com. guns@gunsinthe701.com is the email. And I'm about had it with my voice, so I'm going to have to end it right there. I want to thank everybody for listening. I think it was a great show tonight. Everyone hung in there. And we will see you guys all next week on Guns and the 701. Catch you next week. Keep your powder dry.
Keep your powder dry.
Well, it didn't work.